Welcome back to Story Behind the Painting by Muzea. If you look closely at the history of high Renaissance portraiture, you'll find plenty of images designed to flatter the rich and powerful. Popes, kings, and dukes painted to look saintly, noble, and flawlessly composed. But what happens when one of history's greatest masters decides to strip away the mask of holiness and paint a powerful family exactly as they were, fractured, deeply paranoid, and completely consumed by greed? Today we are diving deep into the year 1545 to dissect Titian's masterpiece, Pope Paul III and his grandsons. It is an artwork shrouded in political backstabbing, hidden symbols, and a fascinating twist. The artist himself was utterly cheated by the very family he painted. Let's unwrap the canvas and see what lies beneath the velvet robes.
Welcome to Story Behind the Painting, where we dive into the most famous art roots and learn a lot from that.
At first glance, the canvas is suffocatingly red. Titian uses a dominant rich palette of crimson, scarlet, and deep burgundies against a pitch-black background. This isn't just a stylistic choice, it creates an intense, claustrophobic atmosphere. Let's look at the three figures frozen in this tense psychological drama. In the center sits Pope Paul III. He is 77 years old, and physically, he looks it. His frame is shrunken, his shoulders hunched, his long white beard slightly unkempt. His body and head are twisting in entirely different directions, creating a sudden sense of movement. His eyes are wide open, alert, and full of frantic energy. He doesn't look like a holy father blessing his flock. He looks like an aging wolf, ready to pounce on anyone who steps out of line. Standing directly behind the Pope's chair is his grandson, Cardinal Alessandro Farnese. He stands entirely impassive, almost chillingly detached. His gaze avoids the drama entirely, looking out toward us or blankly into space. His hand rests firmly on the knob of the Pope's chair, a physical claim to the papal succession. On the right, the 21-year-old grandson, Ottavio Farnese, bows deeply to kiss the Pope's foot. His back is rounded, his knees bent, and his eyelids lowered, a posture of submission. There's a calculated smoothness to his bow that feels inherently untrustworthy. Titian even painted him with a slight lump on his nose, avoiding flattery to capture raw reality. But what makes this painting legendary are the things that aren't finished. Look closely at the Pope's right hand. It's missing and left as raw primer on the canvas. X-ray analysis reveals Titian originally painted an ink bottle on the table, but later replaced it with an hourglass. The hourglass serves as a stark symbol of the transience of power and the rapid ticking away of the old man's life. To understand why this painting feels like a scene from a political thriller, we have to travel back to Italy in the mid-1540s. This was not a unified country. Italy was a chaotic chessboard of fragmented, unstable states, duchies, and republics. These entities constantly formed alliances with foreign powers like Spain and France to survive. Rome was at the epicenter of a massive spiritual and political war. The Catholic Church was facing its greatest crisis, yet the Protestant Reformation, led by Martin Luther in the north. To fight back, Pope Paul III called for the historic Council of Trent in 1545, the very year this portrait was painted. The papacy desperately needed to project an image of spiritual purity, absolute control, and moral authority. Yet behind the Vatican walls, the reality was starkly different. The church was being run like a family business, and nepotism was the name of the game. So who brought Titian to Rome to paint this picture? It was none other than the young, ambitious Cardinal Alessandro Farnese, the detached man on the left of the canvas. The Farnese family didn't want a simple family portrait. They wanted a political manifesto wrapped in oil paint. Pope Paul III used his immense papal power to break the rules, elevating his young grandsons to massive positions of wealth and power. He even carved out the sovereign duchies of Parma and Piacenza specifically for his family, but the family was fracturing from within. The grandson bowing on the right, Ottavio, was secretly scheming with the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V against his own father and grandfather to secure his ownership of the Duchy of Parma. Alessandro commissioned Titian to capture this high-stakes family dynamic to solidify their grip on power and to showcase their loyalty to the patriarch. They wanted to send a message to their rivals that the Farnese dynasty is united, powerful, and next in line for the throne. But there was a catch. They lured Titian all the way from Venice with a grand promise, a lucrative church benefice for Titian's son, Pomponio. It was a promise they had absolutely no intention of keeping. Enter Tiziano Vecellio, known to the world simply as Titian. Born in Venice, Titian was already an absolute living legend by 1545. He was arguably the most famous and sought-after portraitist in all of Europe. Emperors, kings, and foreign princes vied for his brush. He possessed a unique gift, an unmatched ability to ennoble his subjects while retaining their vivid, breathing humanity. Titian was famously reluctant to leave his beloved secure lagoon of Venice. He was already an old man by Renaissance standards. He had never traveled to Rome to see its classical ruins, its ancient sculptures, or the masterworks of Michelangelo. Driven by paternal love to secure his son's future, Titian finally made the journey to the papal court. But as the weeks dragged on, Titian realized the ugly truth. The Farnese family was playing him. The promised church position for his son materialized as nothing more than a minor, low-income parish. The grand payouts never arrived. Realizing he had been deeply cheated, a resentful and frustrated Titian abruptly packed his brushes. He walked away from the Vatican and left the painting forever unfinished. The missing hand of the Pope is the ultimate monument to an artist's silent, brilliant rebellion. Even though it was left in a cellar for over a century, Pope Paul III and his grandsons altered the course of art history. Before Titian, portraiture was dominated by disegno with crisp lines, precise drawing, and highly structured compositions. Michelangelo praised Titian's coloring but criticized his lack of strict drawing structure. Titian pioneered colorito and proved that color, light, and loose brushwork could convey psychological depth better than perfect lines. He melted forms into one another, using textures to mimic the human eye's natural focus. Titian broke the mold of the state portrait by introducing psychological realism into political art. Instead of a rigid symbol of authority, he captured fleeting moments of tension, vulnerability, and deceit, influencing artists from Velázquez to Rembrandt to Francis Bacon. Today, this masterclass in political drama hangs safely in the Museo Nazionale di Capodimonte in Naples, revered as an absolute masterpiece of psychological art. It serves as a permanent reminder that even the most powerful men in history couldn't hide their true natures from the sharp eye and rebellious brush of a cheated master. If you want to explore the hidden layers, high-resolution brushstrokes, and incredible secrets of history's greatest artworks right from the palm of your hand, you need to download the Muzea app today. Available on iOS and Android, Muzea brings the world's finest museums directly to you with immersive audio guides, expert analysis, and interactive galleries. Check the links below in the description below to start your art journey today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, do you think Titian left the hand unfinished on purpose? See you next time on Story Behind the Painting.
Welcome to Story Behind the Painting, where we dive into the most famous art routes and learn a lot from that.